everybody. Hello, hello. I'll be doing a sound check as always here. I just need to bring up a few more stats to make sure that nothing's clipping. We're looking good there. Volume's not too loud, but just need to make sure volume's actually coming in. We'll see how all that sounds. No music for just a little bit. Oh, that's nice and loud. It's nice and loud. Okay, it won't be too bad. I actually can turn it down a couple decibels still. Alright, well, I won't have to talk to you about it. That's for sure. Welcome, everyone. This is what we're officially calling Season 2. I'm going to make sure I stop talking to myself over here. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to make some medicated coffee. Well, the very first thing we're going to do, as always, get our hands nice and washed. Actually, I need to bring out the antibacterial soap. Also clearing the jewelry off of my wrists. And I'll start it out saying happy 420, everyone. We didn't get to celebrate last year. All the stoners were on their best behavior. I want to show you how to make some chronic coffee, medicated coffee. Ooh, look at that sunshine coming through the window. Nice. Hey, I guess it was a whole lot easier to do lighting in the middle of the night. Ah, it's still nice though. Ah, yeah. I'm a flower. So, I'm gonna go grab some other soap real quick. My apologies, I left that in the other room. So what you'll need to make this chronic coffee is stems, preferably. Alright, so with the coffee, now there's a step that you might read about if you do a little Google searching. We're going to infuse a couple different things today. Just a little bit of olive oil or maybe some sunflower oil. We'll infuse that. Maybe some raspberry tea and just the coffee. And I might end up decarboxylating some in the oven just to show how the color changes. There's some interesting information with some of this stuff. People are saying that it sometimes takes 90 minutes in your oven at 260. I disagree with that. I think it could be done as quick as 7 minutes. Let me make sure I bring up the chat here. And then what decarboxylation is doing in basic is that it's just making it so your body can absorb the THC and the CBD that's still in the stem. The stem is usually should be higher in CBD's qualities, and then there's also other like CBGs and CBNs. There's a whole terpenoid breakdown. But what I've done is I've just collected stems over time, just not tossing any of them out here. And we're going to work with about 2 cups here is what we have today. And you could get away. I do recommend grinding this up for larger ones, just because we're not going to decarboxylate this for the coffee. We're just going to let the hot water work with the coffee, and that will raise this stem to the temperature. And the trick with the coffee is what's going on there is that you might know that THC is not water soluble. So there's fatty acids inside the coffee that are soluble for THC. There's at least 3 fatty acids, and that's other fats that you'll usually infuse THC with would be the olive oil, a coconut oil, or just straight butter. So it is really easy to do with coffee. It can give you a nice mellow, like I know some people might take like an Advil just to help help with the back pain or something. Switching your coffee over to this, as long as it's not too caffeinated, because you can run in, for some people you run into issues where you're having too much of an upper and a downer, and that can make people's bodies work harder, or they just feel it working harder, so they get anxious. So not necessarily a good feeling, because it just makes you feel like you maybe drank too much coffee. The effect that you're trying to go for is just maybe a medium to a dark roast, because that will have less caffeine in it, and it will give you a more like calming, relaxed effect. Very nice stuff. And then what I would recommend using is that if you have a grinder for the rest of this, if you have a grinder that you already use for the product, I recommend using that. There are some options that we have here, like I have a little mini processor, but the stems, since we are working with a stick, this is a lot more fibrous material. It's pretty hard. That's why they have separate grinders, and that's why each of those grinder wheels are so big, actually. I was going to see what would happen if I did it in a mortar, with a mortar or pestle, how ground up I could get, so I was just going to throw a little in here. And I wouldn't do this with something like tobacco. And what I'm doing here is I just want to increase the surface area of the stem to help break it up. Like I said, I wasn't decarboxylating these stems. We're going to be making a Philly later today, and I might toast my buns in the oven. I was going to make use of the oven a couple different ways, just so I had it on. I wouldn't want to turn the oven first thing in the morning just to decarboxylate some weed. So just remember, or just take note, that you can decarboxylate your weed all at once, and then it's just decarboxylated at that point. And again, what you're doing when you decarboxylate is you're just making it so your body can make accessible the THC and the CBD that's in the stem. Getting on the more technical side of it, it's specifically there's lots of THCA, more THCA instead of THC, or CB. I think it also would be CBDA. And what it does when you raise up the temperature is it drops this one acid, and it makes it so your body, it gives it a free hand basically chemically, and that hand's free for your body on its cannabinoid receptors to go like, woo, yay, and that way it doesn't just float around in your body not getting connected to anything. I'm having a little fun. Oh, maybe a little too much fun. I haven't gotten to actually use this mortar and pestle for anything in particular, so happy to be able to do that. And you do want to use like a good palmful is what I started out with. I just threw about yay many stems. That's why I ground up. And you could double this if you really want to go for the effect, but this isn't so much about really getting Baked, this is more about just like having a good morning. I'll show you what the mix will look like. There you go. I didn't think it'd be a big deal having my keyboard showing, but now I lose some of the magic because you guys, well, it's probably not a bad thing that you see me. So I did 2 scoops. And I just tossed it right on top. And I take my coffee a little bit lighter because I do like drinking quite a bit of coffee. So what I do is I water down my coffee. I don't use as much coffee for the water, but you know, still good enough to taste it. Whew. Thought I lost it over there for a minute. So for the 2 scoops, I'm just going to do 10 cups. And that will be Fun 420 beverage indeed. And then if you perhaps don't want to risk it and the coffee pot's going to be fine, but if you don't want to use it, another option is to use a French press is another great one. And you don't need to, again, you don't necessarily need to grind up the weed. I wouldn't, if you're doing this with tea, I wouldn't want to boil my stems to decarboxylate them. And the reason why is because since the THC is not water soluble, and when the water is boiling and it reaches a temperature of 160 or 180, probably what's going to happen, there's not a whole lot of studies on this, but I would surmise that you just be that the THC would just be evaporating out of the water, and even if you had a lid, it would kind of get stuck on the glass or maybe the sides of the pot. So I will, when we turn on the oven, I will decarboxylate a bit of this, and we'll go ahead and grind it up. I liked how that turned out in the mortar and pestle. That turned out pretty good. And then there is going to be some, you might be able to see the little bit of yellow there. I'm not really concerned with, that's just keef. That's just straight THC particles and such. I'm not concerned of that being in with something else because it's going to be like minute. You're not going to notice it in anything. Let's see. And then we're going to do a Philly today. We're going to check the fridge. We'll put this to the side for just a moment. And we'll start getting our stuff for our Philly. Alright, some of the best cheese to use for a Philly, provolone cheese. Got a few pre-slices there just because I was feeling a little lazy, but I've also been making more sandwiches, but slicing your own cheese is definitely the way to go. Also, with this guy here, oh, that's actually, I couldn't get to this pepper soon enough. It has molded on us. So luckily, we have another pepper, and we're going to go ahead and give this a rinse real quick. I'm going to make sure nothing's terrible inside. Nope, got a fine pepper there. I'm just going to prep the rest of this. I'll cut it all at once and then I'll just throw. Well, I'm not going to use for a day. I'll just throw in a reuse salsa jar. Oh, I didn't grab the right meat though. So what I've been using for the sandwiches is plant-based deli meats. Can't forget to leave the chat up. Got off to the side. There we go. Ah, the command center is full run. And what we're going to do today with this is that we're going to take about 4 or 5 slices and we're going to take this no beef bouillon cube I got over here. One of these guys. So I was using, I was buying by the quart vegetable stocks and stuff, and I finally started finding the bouillon cubes again. And these things, these are packed in flavors. I haven't had an excuse to use the beef, so we're going to use not as much water as recommended, and we'll use one of these cubes here. And also what we're going to throw into the mix a little bit to just give it even stronger is that we're going to throw in some stir-fry soy sauce and we're going to thicken it up. I'm thinking about making some mashed potatoes for the side just because that would be really good with the gravy. But I haven't quite decided yet. I'm a little bit on the fence for that. So we'll go ahead, get the apron on, get the sleeves rolled up. Oh, I forgot I was wearing my thermals underneath. I'll just make it easier to roll back. Ooh, that's bright off of the white apron. I might have to just, because of how much light there is, I might just have to I'm excited for this filly. I had to take care of a couple houses before I got down here. Ooh, that coffee's almost ready too. I'm so excited. So close. There we go. Alright, all ready to go. So, this is why I decided to end up going with. We got the top view finally, so you're gonna be able to see all the fancy flippings and stuff. So I'm not quite on. Maybe something more like that for a little bit. Yeah, I think I like that. Still messing around with it. So I'm gonna get a cup of water. I'm gonna start making this au jus mix. I'm not going to have this burner on for a second. I'm actually going to boil the water. We'll have the cube off to the side there. And this is just me kind of dinking around. I'm not usually that worried about the cores. I'll usually eat it. I'm just gonna make these look really nice for everyone. I was talking to one of my friends last night, and he's also a cook. I'm not sure how he wants to be introduced, but we will be doing some cooking together eventually on this show. And then he's also, when we do The Drunken Botanist, he also wants to come on and do some comedy. So we'll have that. And what we're going to do is that we're not going to slice up this meat yet. And this is a fun little treat. Like, this package costs about $4.50, and you get, let's see if it says how many slices. I don't think it does. You get about 15 slices, and we want quite a bit. We want at least 4 or 5 of these slices. And that's only 3. Okay, they might only have about 12 slices per. I thought these were a little bit thicker. But 4 should be good. You know, if anything more than 4, you're like making a beefy sandwich. So 4 is the appropriate amount, and then the number about yay much. So just a handful for one sandwich, and then 2 slices of cheese. So this, and we'll just put in. I'm boiling my water, and I'm just going to do the au jus in here. I was going to be a little too fancy with this, so my apologies for that. The water will come to a boil. This is warming up, so I'm going to add, should have some sunflower oil. Not stop. Me. So I guess what I should have done is that I could have taken that smaller pan and I could have roasted my peppers in that one instead. It'll be alright. And then I actually do, again, this is a traditional Philly is just the beef and the Philly and the cheese. In a restaurant that I worked at, we served it with is green peppers, and we dipped it in au jus sauce. Is how we cook the meat. So I'm going to be attempting something a little bit similar. But I just wanted, for my own personal use, I just wanted to have a little onion to go with it as well. Roughly an equal amount there. And again, something I do to just save my time later is that I'm already like working on an onion. So I'm just going to dice up this onion, and then it'll make when I'm doing, like, say if I just want to make a quick pasta dish, which what I do for my meat substitutes on that is I will take a Boca burger and I will boil it in water, very little water, like you only need like not even half an inch of water, because I use the same pot to cook that burger, and then add the onions, and I also boil the onions in it, and then flip the burger, the Boca burger, and after I mash it up, it sucks up enough water to where there's nothing in, and then I'll throw the sauce in, the red sauce, and heat up my sauce. So I'll do it all in one. And now this will save me from having to clean up, from having to do onions some other time. The water's coming to a boil here soon. Should be good. I'm gonna get the surface light. And you can tell your oil will lighten in color. It'll kind of get a different type of sheen to it when it's hot enough. You don't want it to be smoking. I only have it on a 4.5. Sunflower oil probably wouldn't start smoking on you past the 6.5. I think after that it will probably start smoking. Olive oil, a little bit different. Olive oil will start smoking at you at about straight medium temperature on 5. That's just, every pan's a little bit different on how it conducts and such. So just take that into consideration. I'm going to throw these straight on. And those will be able to cook pretty evenly. My water's coming to a boil here. I want to add my bouillon cube. I'm going to add a tablespoon, and I'll let you guys know if that ends up being too strong. Now, I did use a soy sauce on that, so if you're cooking for someone, this is a vegetarian cooking show, but it's easy to make flexibilities and stuff because a lot of vegetarians, uh, they'll let you know if they get into more specifics, and they have names for it and stuff too, but they'll let you know if they don't eat fish. But lots of vegetarians do eat fish. They might go by, say, pescatarian. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll that up. Oh, you know what I forgot about? I forgot about getting the bread toasted. So say we don't want to use the oven at all. Let's see what we can work with here. Okay, we're going to warm in a 400-degree oven for 15 minutes. So, I don't go through too much bread. And sometimes I'll suggest this with your vegetables as well. Is to go frozen. Like broccoli is a great one to go frozen with. And yes, that is so it's maintaining a little bit of heat. That'll be the hot part. Ah, the scissors, that's what I was looking for. So, I didn't read the instructions on this bread though. I didn't realize it was going to take a 400-degree oven of all things. Well, let's see how fancy of a baguette that we got. That's pretty worth it. You know, to have that fresh. Alright, we'll get all this put away. Clean as you go. Sign of the pros is what they say. And unfortunately I got slowed down because I didn't realize I was going to have to preheat an oven here. So, my bad on that. Ooh, I am happy to be back in the kitchen with everyone though. I missed everyone. If people have been following along with the stream, a couple on about March 31st, I was able to return to the morning schedule. So I officially had to make a decision that I was going to put, I was able to make my schedule work around my stream, And then this was a good enough opportunity where I needed to make my schedule, or excuse me, need to make my stream work around my schedule, the other way around. If I'm saying that right. But I am starting to stream about 4 days a week. And what's even better news that we got going on is that I could have started on Friday, because I released Thursdays when I released the new schedule. And Friday I could have done the travel and outdoors where we're just going right outside to the garden. And that's why I'm super excited to be able to do with everyone, is to have to be able to show you how to harvest from the garden and to cook with that. We got plenty of basil, lettuce, and stuff, and it's all growing right now. There just wasn't really anything to show on Tuesday just because it's like, yay, they're just sprouts and it's going to freeze, so maybe they're not going to be here. But the choices worked, even though it dropped down to around 30 degrees and such. It's still, everything's still thriving. Even more stuff has popped up, so we're good to go on that. So yeah, I'm just holding things. So what I did is I turned off the heat, but it's still on its burners. This was pretty close to done, but it was a little too oily, so I put it back on to explain that whole gander. I want to infuse some more stuff. So my best advice though is that if you want to make like tinctures and stuff, there's a product, I think it's just got a name change. It's called Magical, and what it does is it handles the decarboxylation process and everything for you, and it has a butter option or a tincture option that you can put your medicinals in. That was an old hat way for me about talking about that. It's a new age. I can say wee. Speaking of which, let's try that coffee. Let's see how that turned out. Yeah, I had half in mind. I just kind of, one of the other things I wanted to cook, because I knew the Philly was just going to be able to cook so quickly, is the store I was at just didn't have fresh bread, unfortunately. But this also, I just wanted to be like, oh, I don't mind to show people like, hey, you can have frozen bread. And it works really well. Like even just with my already cut bread, just like for sandwiches and stuff. Actually, I have buns in the freezer right now. Buns are the ones I'm notorious for because I don't want to eat a burger every night. It's just not my style, really. But, you know, I'm sure other people would gladly have burgers every night. Those Boca burgers are pretty good. I do like the chicken Boca burgers myself, too. So I almost like want to make an avocado spread, but we'd be doing too weird of a sandwich. We're just trying to kind of make it like a Philly. That's all we're trying to do. Add a little bit of sugar. Because I'm a monster, I'm going to have this just with sugar. No creamer. I got spoiled on creamer, is what ended up happening. Ooh. Ooh, can I smell it? Nah, it just smells like coffee. Good stuff. I should have just let this sit out, and then I would just cut it. It hasn't actually refroze. I can't believe I'm such a dum-dum that I didn't look on that part. So again, like I swear, like all this stuff can really get put together in like 10 minutes, but somehow I magically find a way to take an hour and sometimes 2 hours to do it all. But the coffee's good. Made coffee real quick. Got that out of the way. Let's see about infusing some olive oil real quick. Ah, there we go. I'll set that timer for 15 minutes. And then I'm going to just make sure there's nothing about infusing olive oil. Let's see. So this is 1 cup of ground cannabis flour. So it's calling for flour, which would be more potent. 1 cup of olive oil. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. It's saying that you're going to need a strainer or a cheesecloth. Okay, we have a strainer that we're going to use. Double boiler, slow cooker, or saucepan. We have a saucepan. Okay. So it's saying that you need to do it for 3 hours on the stove top. You can do it in a slow cooker for 4 to 6 hours, which I have the Instapot, but I don't have part of it. It's not here at the house. I took soup over to a friend's. So we're just gonna wait for that baguette to come out. Coffee's going. So, yeah, we're just gonna show, like, turn that back on 4. So I'm going to think about this. I don't want to use sunflower oil if I want to reheat this oil. So let me check something else. I think I might go all the way into Brownie Town. Just have to let's see. This doesn't call. Ah, there we go. Yeah, to make the vegan. Okay, perfect. Yeah. We'll make some brownies later. I'm really glad I wasn't like, we're going to make everything but brownies. Okay, so now I'm going to use sunflower oil for this, and if I were going to cook with this oil, if I wanted to make cannabis oil that I cooked with, I would want to use avocado oil, because that can be reheated, and it's going to be heated for a long time anyway, so I want it to throw it straight into the brownie mix. I think what they're called are alkalides. I never looked this up on what they're called, but basically when sunflower oil is heated, it releases this, and it's just not good for your cellular structure. There's not like it's not like there's a bunch of bad studies out on it, and particularly what I'm talking about, what I'm saying to avoid, is you wouldn't want to have your fryer, that you might heat up like 12, 15 times before you change it. You wouldn't want to use sunflower oil for that. You would want something with a higher temperature. Or it's not about the higher temperature, it's just about it being heated up and cooling down. It releases those not good stuff for your body, as peanut oil would not. So I have 1 cup, and I'm going to go ahead and do 2 cups. And this will help pass the time when because we need to wait 10 minutes for our bread to come out of the oven. And then I'm not going to decarboxylate this first. I think it's going to get plenty of time to do that while it's over on the stove top for 3 hours. And I have a thermometer, and we're going to make sure it doesn't, what the temperature we're looking for is, we don't want it to get over 190. You might see different temperatures like 210 or even 170. And from my experience, after the times I've done this, we're looking for 190. That's the temperature. I hope I didn't just do something weird to the stream. And I had that on a low. It's only at a 3.5 here on the stove. And that's 2 cups of sunflower oil that we're using. We got 9 minutes left. I'll actually get this pretty full, I might as well. I'm happy to do this. So what I'm doing is that also, I have quite a bit of stems. You're going to want to use your older stems first. Like, so go from the bottom of your jar, like dump it out and take the stems on the bottom. Because cannabis does degrade over time. Eventually, it'll turn into, I think it's like THCN, I think is the one it turns into. And it is just, it's just like meh, to not get too overly complicated about it. It's not gonna have any of the effects that you're really looking for. It's just too aged. It's helping, if anything, it's like helping your bone marrow at that point or something. Nothing that the rest of the body is gonna notice. And then this is, see, look, that's This is why I don't know how well you can see that, but that's the fiber. That's how fibrous you can grow hemp and would make really durable clothing. I think we're seeing an end to fast fashion, and people are trying to get into more clothes that last them a while. And I think hemp is going to be the answer people are looking for. The reason why I'm not super worried about, decarboxylation and activating the THC is because I really don't mind the other medicinal effects. I got a pretty large scar here on my arm. So I don't mind having just a more soothing. When I'm up and at it, I do like hybrid effects. I don't really want to I don't get couch locked. I don't have the same like grip strength or the same feeling in my fingers. I think even the docs would agree that with my injury on my arm that my epidermis feels pain a little bit differently. So I don't know where I was going with that. All right. Yeah, I'm going to get a little spoon for the little pot. Little spoon, little pot. Okay. Well, let's see what temperature we're sitting at right now. I'm going to go ahead and put the heat back on this stuff right here. 140. $160. I'm taking it off the heat for just a moment. Because we really want to get it dialed in. This is getting a little too hot on us as well. So I still have this burner on. This nice and heated back up. And notice about how I'm not having, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna get hot really quick on you. And right now this is still hitting that 190. It's at 190 right now. So it will hold its temperature. It'll take a while for oil to cool down. So I have the burner still on, but I'm reducing it. And then once this gets down to like 180, I'm going to see if I have this dialed in correctly. Oof. A little smaller than I wanted, but it'll work out well. Okay, now the cheese bit though. This is some cook hands coming into effect right now. I was like, yeah, I can. I'll show them. I'll show them how people melt that cheese in 5 seconds flat. All right, now bottom layer. Usually I have a better spatula. Usually I do it with a spatula. I'm just playing with you guys. Okay, now we're going to fish out that meat as well. The meat substitute, of course. Now I'm doing that typical cook thing where I end up using like 6 utensils. All I wanted to do. Okay. Cheese still needs the ittiest bittiest of melting. Let's see how this is doing. $160 and still climbing. Set that 180 temperature. A little bit of water will help make some steam. That bread got pretty dry too, so I don't mind throwing a little bit more on it. I want to get it too dry though, because I have this lovely sauce that we're going to have with it. Don't mind me, but I want to enjoy this right away. I don't want to eat on the cutting board though. Add some dry bread. Bread's not my favorite on this one. Hey.
Are you done with your thing? Oh.
Okay. Oh. And off the heat again it goes. All right. So much for 15 minutes in the oven. I just killed it. Yep. I'm just gonna let that thaw out next time. We won't do it from frozen. And then also, if I were to do that again, I probably wouldn't dice up Yeah, it came out a little crunchy. You're supposed to. It was frozen bread that I got from the store. Got a little sauce to help make it not so crunchy, but could have done darker on the sauce too. I might just have to make this Philly again so I can show people that I know how to make a good Philly. I mean, my oven's ready and everything. I literally have all the stuff to do it. Let's make one more. My day today was pretty good. I got a nice good start on the day. Got some extra work taken care of. Medicated coffee. And we're going to be making some more brownies this time too. So things are going pretty good. Let's see. And I'm making, I'm showing people just how to control their oil. We got some infusion going on over here. I'm showing people about how the oil is sitting at that 190 temperature. It doesn't even need any heat. So we've been going back and forth. It'll go back to about 180 and then we'll put it on the heat and then it'll rise to the correct temperature that it needs. And I just threw on some of that oil right here. What we got to do though, since this is just going to be for me, I'm going to throw that au jus back in there. We'll go ahead and use the rest of this. Oh, no more brownies. I hear ya. I understand. We got an overhead view camera now. It's pretty cool. Ooh, I almost broke my own rule. Keep the handles inside so you don't actually knock it off. This will be a big old mess. This will be one of the worst messes you ever cleaned up if that had to go down. Now, I get advertised all the time for this thing called a prep deck. And all it is just this little deck that has different prep slots. It's just like a miniature cooking line. And I'm like, I'm like, ooh, that's cool. How much do they want for it? And they want like $210 for it. I'm like, no, I will use my leftover salsa jars. Thank you very much. I do not need a prep deck for that. But that's something I really want to point out, though, is that if you prep the way I did for this meal, and say you have the family, you know, they're in and out of the house, maybe some kids are staying, some kids are going, there's 2 extra kids coming, like, we're making another Philly because I didn't melt the cheese enough right, it didn't come out the way I wanted to. I need to show people this could be done right. Like, it looks like a bad sandwich. I'm going to cut it and then throw it back in. I'm going to melt the cheese, swirl all the cheese. It'll be done much better. You know what I could have done is, if I was really messing with this with myself, I literally could have just, see, that's how not melted the cheese is. I could just throw all this in. So I guess I could have saved the meat. But I already did eat like half of the sandwich though. But yeah, it just did not turn out well. Woo, that was close again. Oh, thank you, man. That's what I love to hear. So these onions are cooking really quickly because this is a perfect example to show that the more surface area you have, the quicker it'll brown. So you see how these green onions hardly even cooked, but the green pepper hardly even cooked, hardly even through, but these onions, because they're so much smaller, are already nice and brown and stuff. So we're gonna get this all right in the middle. Just let that go. Probably a little high for that. Well, oh, that's why I had it way too high. As you get better with cooking, you're able to cook at higher temperatures. How you start saving yourself time is you just start cooking at higher temperatures faster. I'll remake that. Man, I'm just really disappointed in how this loaf came out. Speaking of which, we're gonna pull that other loaf out early. Son of a biscuit, man. Still holding it at 200 degrees, it says. We're going to give it a little bit of a stir, a little bit of an agitation. This is what we're going to use for a brownie mix later. We're going to make some wee brownies. That'll be great. I was just talking to someone else about how they were trying to reduce their sugar consumption. It has taken me years, you know, to get to where I am today. And then I used to be smoking cigarettes too, and I cut that about 5 years ago. But I bring that up because when I drastically reduced my sugar consumption, because I was drinking soda like it was going out of style. I'm talking a lot of soda. Like, I was afraid I was going to become diabetic. When I cut the sugar intake from that is when I would had what you would call a Nick fit. Like, I did not have the drawbacks from cigarettes like I did from reducing my sugar. So what I did is I just poured a bunch of water on that. Don't do that if you love your pan. Just rehydrate the bread. And it's still kind of cold in the middle. I will give a warning out to everyone to, that was a little bit out of frustration. We're going to make this work, darn it, with spraying that pan the way I did. If you care about your stuff, which I do, just wait for it to cool down a little bit longer, because you just have a chance of tarnishing it by spraying hot water on the surface there. I already am famous. I could put a tray of water, that would work as well. But honestly, you can just put your bread underneath the sink and it'll work just as well. Like you can do that with you can do that with old bread, dried bread. It'll make it nice and fresh again. Voila! I did put that cheese away too. All right. Let's see if we got this more dialed in. I feel like it only needs to be like underneath a 1. Sugar, rice, and bread. Whew. Yeah, that's pretty fast. And yeah, that's good on you. That's hard. That's switching and things up like that's good for you. I just there's always, I don't want to raise alarm. I just know that your body also will take, what the doctors don't talk about is the time your body takes to adjust, because they just like are like, oh, yeah, just have the diet and you'll be fine. It's just like, well, what about these other things that start happening? Like, you know, like for the sugar was crankiness for me for a little bit. or just getting your body to like if you're it's the same thing with if you're drinking too much caffeine too, like your body is just doesn't feel right even though it's actually feeling normal again. It's like this is what normal feels like. Normal feels weird. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the oven here. Man, this cheese is just being super annoying to melt. Just doesn't want to do it, man. Military diet? Cool stuff, man. I'm not sure what our military eats and stuff. I was always interested in astronaut food, though. Like that dried and also weight conscious stuff. And then they are eating it in zero gravity. So that's what I was all looking at. Hello, hello. Welcome to the stream. I'm doing a second rendition on my Philly right now because my first Philly we did I just didn't like it. We didn't even get the cheese melted. We can't call that. So we're getting a round 2 taken care of. Whoop, nope. We'll want to get that cleaned up. A little bit of an oil drip there. Well, I say on the show all the time, as clean as you go, sign of a pro. I think that coffee is finally hitting me is what it is. Relax. Oh, I didn't observe it. Missed the 420 on 420. I was too busy with the Philly. It'll be okay. So now the food's coming out just in time. Hey, Pops. Alright, there. Oh, no, pull it back now, y'all. Breakfast, 1 boiled egg, half cup of oats. Black coffee. Oh man, do I feel like I'm cheating because I got to put a little sugar in my coffee. You know what was really spoiling me is I was even doing the coffee creamer. And we're pulling this off the heat again. It's getting a little high. Alright, round 2 of the Phillyverse. You know, people get worried when they're like, what about all this meat? I'm like, haven't you ever heard strong as a horse? They eat oats for days. Alright, let's see how we did this time. 1, I like how we cut the sandwich better. The diagonal, you know, you get a nice little dip.
I gotta get it to the bank though.
Much better.
I gotta check the mail too. I'll be right back.
Ooh. I don't know why that cheese was so sour on melting. I don't even. We can go ahead and get this out of the way, I suppose. There we go, much more tidied up. Oh, thank you, I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Yeah, we did a lot better job on the sandwich this time around. Smash it down, it's cheesy. If you want to skip the peppers, you can. I would call it, but I don't really see that as a Philly. I think of it as like a French dip. If it just had the meat and cheese on it. And this is all meat substitute too. And we just took a beef bouillon cube and we took a tablespoon of soy sauce. But it didn't have the thickness to it that I wanted to. I think I'd still need to add maybe like a tablespoon of flour or maybe arrowroot to but it still tastes good. Like it's light, so it's not gonna weigh you down, which might be helpful if you don't have anything that's kind of beefy in your life anymore. But this is a nice like change up in flavor from a lot of stuff I think you would traditionally get as a vegetarian, because I don't really miss meats too much and stuff, but it is just nice, you know, to be able to get that to have a gravy again in particular. This is like a really loose gravy, but it can still be considered a gravy. Hello, hello, Mr. Sauce. Welcome, welcome. We just got done cooking a Philly. We made some Chronic coffee, which I'm enjoying right here. and I decided that I would show the slow process of infusing some sunflower oil with some medibles, and we were gonna do stereotypical brownies. But I'm really happy to get this Philly in me. I have been having to rush around doing work most of the day. I'm slid into this. Tuesdays will be the new regular cooking stream. I did want to do a pizza today too, but I didn't want. Yeah, I can't wait till I get that mixer. I'm going to be making so many doughs. But it used to be really inexpensive. If you have a Trader Joe's, maybe they still do it, or they just have in the deli section where they would have prepared pizza dough for 99 cents. But everywhere I started to look for had it for like $2.50 or like $3, and I was like, that's ridiculous. That's way too much money for that dough. I don't know. And then I tried buying some premix, just mix it yourself pizza dough. And that stuff, it only makes one pizza, and it's like $6 for the premix bag. I'm like, you're got to be kidding me. It's not that hard to make pizza dough if you have a mixer. That is probably going to be my next purchase. I've had to put that purchase off for a couple months. I wanted to do that like almost 3 months ago is when I wanted to get that. Yeah, what I was planning on doing with the pizza was I was going to take the rest of the peppers I had and I was going to dice them up a whole lot and then have them already roasted here when I was doing the Philly. But what really happened is I saw the $7 bag of premix that I was planning to buy. I'm like, no, I can't tell people that make at home and 11 like I would be making like a $15 pizza in American. Like, ugh. I'm like, no, we need like a $3 pizza. And you can make a $3 pizza if you can get that 99 cents Trader Joe's dough. Yeah, it's a pretty nice day outside. If you guys will excuse me for just 1 minute, I'm going to be dodge right off the camera. I'll be back in like 45 seconds. You can hold the fort down for me. Sorry about the hold up there, folks. I had to take care of something real quick. Usually I never need my be right back screen, but because one's not made up yet. Alrighty. Take a look at what this is sitting at now. Put it back on a low. It's sitting right about at the 190, which is great. We're going to go ahead and give it a little stir too. All right. Back to the moolah. So I really recommend, especially if you have a cat or something, not leave this alone, especially with the burner on, because you're not going to necessarily set your house on fire, but what's a good chance of happening is that you'll get a smoky house, and you don't want to have to clean oil off the walls, because that smoke gets on the walls, and that's all this oil, and then you need to use a degreaser, and then the degreaser ends up stripping your paint along with the oil, and it's bad news. That's to me personally, that's what the coolest part about those air fryers are. It's because even with one of the, a more traditional fryer, that the same thing is happening, just on a smaller scale. Got this smoke going up that's oily, or just oily air, and it gets on the walls in places. But those air fryers use so little oil that that's a non-issue. It's pretty cool. But like I said, I'm going to go for the mixer before I go for an air fryer. We've done it on the show before too, when we're blanching fries for people. I don't mind using like a deeper fryer on the stovetop here. I have a little candy thermometer, and I'm not worried about burning myself or putting the house on fire. That would be my only caution with cooking with oil, is just like, hey, it can get hot. And the thing is that if you're getting safe, don't go because then you're gonna spill more. Trust me, getting a drop or two of oil is way different than getting doused in it, because it's not just you're not going to be able to remove whatever got splashed with from the heat. Your body is going to heat, and then it's like how we can pull this on and off. It's going to cool down slowly. It's one of the worst injuries that you can get in the kitchen. Air fryers aren't that expensive. They have all sorts of qualities out there now, and they're super popular. They hit like a super popularity. So you can even get like an Instapot, which is a rice maker. You can get like a rice maker that's also an air fryer. So they're making them by the masses. Maybe like $25 US is probably the most inexpensive one that you could find, which is also like I was always like worried that having an immersion blender might put too many people out of the price bracket, but they America's Test Kitchen has showcased also a $25 immersion blender. So I would definitely go for I would not spend the money that I did on my immersion blender. I think we finally have this dialed in as well. I'm checking the temperature, looking at it, and resting. It's sitting right at the 190 that we want to sit on. So when you're decarboxylating, you'll see on the internet it might say 160 to 210 or maybe 201. Where I look for is 190. That's going to give you a nice middle range of what's decarboxylating and what's not. When you're hitting those higher temperatures, you're decarboxylating everything. Except the thing is that things that have a higher decarboxylation point, the more psychoactive elements have a lower temperature, and so they will be aged quicker in the decarboxylation process, and they'll break down and become more non-psychoactive, which you can use to your benefit if you don't want anything psychoactive. Like if you are worried about driving, you wouldn't want it to be psychoactive. I have a little bit of mixed feelings about what with weed and driving, but that's just like kind of interesting thing because THC and CBD interact with everyone a little bit differently, but with alcohol it is ingested by everyone the same. So it's easy to have an alcohol measurement, but I don't think the same can be said about the cannabis levels. We're on a little 420 vibe today just to celebrate 420, so I'm kind of just shooting the breeze in that direction. We're still sitting at 190. Nothing going on for the rest of the day though after this stream. This was I didn't mean for it to be so light on the cooking. Like I said, I really thought I was going to be ready to make a pizza as well, which is like that would be a repeat. It was like one of the first times I ever did. I made all this food and I was like, screw it, I'll make a pizza too while I'm at it. That was good times. I still had music going on for the show, and I said earlier that we weren't playing music for a little while, and it is to I heard some people say, I think it's for Ramadan, that they can't listen to music and it's their time of fasting. So anyone that was dropping in, I was just making sure I was being respectful in that regards. And yeah, but I haven't had music a couple times, but I know it makes a really nice ambiance having a little upbeat music playing while we're flipping burgers, having a good time. So I don't even have it on the oven or on the stovetop here. It's not even at 1. It's just on the low. And it's sitting perfectly at 190. Right where we want it. And that took about 20 minutes of fiddling around with it to figure out where we needed to get the temperature. Now that I know that it's that low, if I were reheating it, instead of putting it out on like a 3.5, I'd just put it on a 1. And then it would come up, probably would come up to 210 out of 1. I'm not sure about that. It was a process one way or another. to get the temperature sitting at 190, but we did it. But yeah, to plug in Magical, it'll do all this stuff for you. I don't make any money off that. I wish I had a link. Click here. Ooh, I do enjoy this coffee right now. But the Magical will do all this infusion process for you. It'll stir it for you. It'll keep it at the right temperature. It does all that for you. And then it has a better it has a really high mesh strainer. Yeah, it can be a little bit finicky. Though I would, though if we're going to go on for gas stoves or electrical stoves or induction stoves, like I still rather use an electric stove top, because if I was using a gas stove, I'd want there to be really good ventilation, like air moving, because that gas can build up. Yeah, it's just I'm not like super sensitive about it, but just after being in kitchens and stuff, and that is something that you have to pay attention to. It's like, hey, does it smell like gas, and is something not venting? So it's just like, I'm happy that it makes me a bit nauseous and stuff for gas, but electrical stovetops, like I have some ceramic coated dishware, so it heats up and it maintains its heat really well, and most of the time I have no problem cooking at a higher temperature. This bad boy here just needs to be at, the oil just needs to be at 190, and it was just a little feisty, getting it to sit right. Yeah, there's what happens is that I think it might not always be the stovetop, but it's there's a big difference in the heat transfer for aluminum casted cookware and steel cookware. And that's how, and then like aluminum in particular can have hot spots, so one part could be way hotter than another part of it. Steel is a little bit better, where it heats up more uniformly. It's also easier to clean, the steel. Oh yeah, outdoor kitchens. I've been putting by models of a food truck that I want to run, and I want to build out my first food truck. I don't want to buy one. Now I was halfway thinking about having it be like an open setup, so you'd have the trailer, and the trailer would be box topped, right? But then I'd want maybe like the lid of one half to like fold open somehow, perhaps. But yeah, I want it, or the back of the truck would open up and then have a tent structure pop out from it. Yeah. I don't know how much money there is for me to make in a food truck, because I know what I'd be doing out here half the time. I was like, oh, a disaster happened over here. There's a bunch of people that don't need power. I go hop in the truck, go down and serve food to people till things get better. And this just hit 200 degrees. So I'll just move it off the heat for a minute, and we'll put it back. And that thermometer is what's doing all the work for us right there. For restaurants, though, I've never been in a full-on I've never been served at a full-on outdoor kitchen, unless it was a barbecue, of course. Those are great. But outdoor bars were a thing when I was out in Florida, though. I stayed away from the bar scene, though. I would have gotten in trouble in Florida for sure. Singing exercises, very cool. Yeah, voice control is very important. Man, I don't know if there's anything you don't do though. You got engineering, you want to build houses too, you got that coming up. And you got singing lessons. Multifaceted dude. So now this will take about two more hours. It'll take about 3 hours overall for that there. Now 2, 3, 4. Now I would usually this stream would finish up at 4 p.m. but I started an hour late, so I went an hour late, so it's 5 p.m. Mountain Time now. It was a little, like I said, usually there's a bit more cooking going on, but I ended up just making the Phillies twice. But this is the cooking portion of the show. Our next show is this Friday. We will be working outdoors in the garden. Everything's been sprouting up, so I'll have more to show you. I think we'll be, I think by this Friday, we should be looking at reducing our numbers. That way we're not overcrowding where I planted the seeds, but we popped up seeds in most planters everywhere. The sema's growing. I see some basil growing. It looks like there's a tomato plant growing as well. The potatoes still haven't taken off yet, but we have lots of lettuce and spinach that looks like it's grown up. And I think that cabbage too took off, so we'll be taking a look at that Friday. And then the next stream after that will be Sunday night. And Sunday night we will be, it will be more of a talk show, talking point show, maybe with some comedy in it. I do have a comedy segment lined up for people. We got a great comedian lined up, and maybe we'll have some live musicians and things of that nature. That's the direction that we're starting to head in towards with the show. I thank you so much for everyone that came by, gave the place a look. I really appreciate everyone's support always. Romeo, it's good to catch up with you some more. Good luck with your singing lessons there, buddy. And also with cutting out sugar and bread in your diet. That's a lot all at once. I wasn't trying to discourage you when I was a little wordless about it. I was just like, you know, I understand how hard that is. You're doing a lot at once. So good on you. And I'm going to say good afternoon to everyone. I might pop on later tonight on an unscheduled stream just to play some video games. But I'm going to enjoy the rest of the holiday that I got going on here today and get some brownies in. I'm not going to waste too much more of your guys' time. I showed I showed the process here about how to keep watch on it, and we're looking for 190. That's my super secret temperature. Your friends will wonder how you made such good netables, and I will tell you it's because 190. That's the temperature that you're looking for to infuse this. And with that, folks, so it took us 2 tries to make a good fillet. If I had the bread, I would have buttered it, toasted it, been done with it. No, it had to be frozen. I had to talk up the frozen bread so much, being like, frozen bread's great. It's great if you can throw it in the toaster, like an Eggo waffle. Not so much if you have to throw it in the oven. But I digress. It's been wonderful hanging out with everyone today. I'm going to continue enjoying this holiday. I'm really looking forward to it. It was this time last year, the 20s of all 20s of On the Floor. It was going to be 420 all month. And we missed out. It was going to be a month-long celebration. It was going to be what started the roaring 20s for all of us. So now we just have to party harder to make it up for it. Rock on, everybody. We'll see you all next time.